Hello everyone, in my first video about X-Wing. I am fairly new to this game. My knowledge is based on my personal experience, research, game analysis and my own interpretations and ideas. The presentation is the way I am trying to get better at this game, and maybe someone else will find it helpful as well. It also could be the source of some valuable discussion, so if you have a different opinion about something, let me know in the comment section. The first topic I want to discuss is the turn zero strategy. I think it is a very important part of the game, and if played well, it can significantly increase our chance of winning. Turn zero contains many topics that need to be considered before the flight can begin. These are the scenario we are going to play, objectives and obstacles placement plan, choice of main targets in the enemy list, and our ship deployment tactics. So let's talk about them one by one. Scenarios. They determine the rest of our turn zero tactic. We have 4 of them, so let's go and look at each one. First, chance engagement. How we earn points. This scenario is focusing mostly on dogfighting. Mission objective placed in the center will give us points if we only contest it, which means be in range 0 to 2. If we do it, we get 1 point. If our opponent does not, we get another point. We can earn them since the second turn. Second way to earn points is pure dogfight. We earn points by destroying enemy ships and reducing their health by half. Some of my general tactical thoughts for this scenario are: the size of our list does not matter because the mission is not very challenging and most of our points we have to get in combat. And our potential combat power is the most important factor in this scenario. If the mission does not give us the opportunity to score many points, we have to focus on winning the battle in the traditional way. So these ideas defines our main targets, which should be the most combat effective ships. It's not always the harder hitting ones, it can also be a support ship. In our bloodlust, we must not forget to contest for the center of the field. There's not much point from here, but we don't want the enemy to take it all and get some points advantage. So not all of our ships should stay wide, but in general flanking is a good idea. Finally, before the game starts, we have to estimate who has more firepower. This determines whether we can consider a simple blow exchange or we have to find a more tricky way. Second scenario is assault at the satellite array. How we earn points? We get it from each of the 5 satellites we control. To do it, we need to have more ships in range 0 to 1 close to the objective. Medium and large ships counts as 2. And of course we get points for destroying enemy ships, but just for this. Some of my tactical thoughts. In this case, the size of our list is also important. Less means we have fewer body to fight with, so we should aim for quick kills. The best way to do this is just with focused fire. On the other hand, having more ships allows us to play more with objectives. Disengaging with a damaged ship can earn us some points from an uncontested satellite. In this scenario, larger ships brings more value than the additional one. Besides double scoring, the larger base make it easier to fight for control of more satellites at once. High initiative is always valuable, but in this scenario it gives us more information to decide which action choose. Some reposition could give us some points if we decide to barrel roll or boost into satellite range. Flanking, similar to disengaging, allows us to control the area of a lone satellite. There are endless debate about whether it is more valuable to try to reduce the number of enemy ships in the current turn or to focus more on the ships that threaten us most. If the enemy has a larger ship, we should consider it as our main target. but this can be tricky, as some large ships require a lot of effort to destroy. So we have to decide if it is worth it. Next is scramble the transmission. How we earn points. In Scramble, we get 1 point since turn 2, of course, for each satellite we control. There are 3 of them. To control it, we have to mark it by taking Scramble action. And of course, like always, we get points for destroying enemy ships. Some tactical thoughts. In this scenario, the size of our list matters too. More ships means that we have easier action management in the game. Our actions don't cost us as much as the other side. Fewer ships in the list means that they have to bring more value to the battle, and spending action to mark a satellite limits their potential to do so. So ships with the capability to do more than 1 action per turn have extra value. Similar to the previous scenario, flanking and disengagement have additional value in the form of points of marking lone satellite. The main struggle we will have is to decide what is more important in the current situation, the fight or the objective. Allowing our opponent to get some free points for a couple of rounds creates a dangerous situation for us. And of course, high initiative pilots are very valuable, and in this case they are a great solution for mission management because they give us more information to make decisions about what is important after most ships have completed their movements. If our opponent marks the objective, we can mark it back, so the enemy action brings less value than ours. Last mission is salvage. How we earn points. From turn 2 we get 1 point for each supply cage we have on our ships at the end of the turn. To capture one, we need to take a mission action in range 0 to 1 of the objective. We drop the supply cage if the ship holding it takes critical damage. And of course, we get points from destroying enemy ships like always. My tactical thoughts. This is another more complex mission, so the size of our list matters. Similar to Scramble, in this mission a larger number of ships help us with action management. We have an easier choice of which ship should take the crate. Before the battle, we have to know which of our ships will be selected to this task. In general, it shouldn't be our main damage dealer because their action is important in battle. It shouldn't be ship with high cost because it makes him a target and an easy choice for our opponent. And it should have decent agility and maybe some defensive dice modification to have more chance to avoid critical hits. In this scenario, we will have to decide whether to shoot at the most dangerous ships for us or one with a supply cage. This decision is partially based on our potential to do critical damage, which is quite important because it makes it harder for our opponent to carry the package. Disengage with objective can save our ship and earn mission points. That's why good defensive roles is important, because it makes easier to survive and makes whole disengage idea more consistent. Pilots with low initiative have added value because they can grab the supply first and prevent the opponent from taking it. This was the last mission. We now know a bit about the missions and some general tactical thoughts for each of them. The next step, after considering what scenario we are going to play, is objective placement. In general, we have 2 options. We can place objective close to the center of the playing area. This will make first engagement smoother for us because we are not forced to fly slow and stay in mission range. Make center area more important because there is always one objective in the center. And makes main battle area pretty narrow, where bombs, back arcs, turrets, and so on are pretty valuable. On the other hand, we can put the objective closer to one of the board edge. In this situation, if we want to take it, we have to fly really slow with at least one ship, Also, it is a safe option, but the selected ship is unlikely to be in the center of the engagement, and if we pass through, it is pretty inconvenient to contest this later, because we also have some job to do in the center, which would probably be easier to do. This was theory. Let's look at some real-life example from wars. First one. We have here salvage mission, so we want to take the supply cage. It seems that both players have used similar tactics. On their side, the mission objective is placed close to the edge of the board. This creates a safe opportunity to grab the crate. On the opposing side, players place supplies near the center. This location provides an opportunity to interrupt and or punish the opponent's decision to take the crate. As we can see, the final objective placement focused on the both flanks. This forces us to divide our forces to contest all of them and makes our opponent's decision harder. Second example. Here we have assault at the satellite array mission. So there is no mission action included. We just want to be in the range of the objective. In this situation, upper flank gives old para, scam player, chance to smooth engage and force quarantine to go slow if he wants to get some mission points in turn 2. The advantage of this placement for the Imperial player is that two satellites are pretty close to each other on the one flank. This gives him the opportunity to contest both of them with the decimator. On the other hand, the Mandalorian will have to fly very fast to do some similar thing, which could be dangerous for him or he will be blocked. Wide placement of objective gives the TIE fighters opportunity to spread and get some easy points from satellite. The last example in this chapter, the mission is scramble, the transmission, so we need to take action to mark the objective to get some points. Kyle, Republic player, put satellite close to the opponent board edge, with the intention of slowing down at least one of the enemy ships. For this case, Hamish, Rebel players, has Sabine Wren, which is selected to focus more on the mission. She is only for 2 points and as a TIE fighter has decent agility and with Beskar reinforced plating gives her more defensive potential. She is great choice for this task. On the other hand, Hamish placed the objectives close to the center, where it should be easier to protect it for longer. This placement also suggests that main course of early game will be on the bottom of the screen. So, we know now some options how to place objectives. The next part is about obstacles. Placing them is important part of turn 0 strategy. In general, our obstacles placement should help us with our plan and disrupting opponent's strategy. We can distinguish 3 main archetypes of formation. Loose, obstacles placed in the farthest corners of the map, so they have no major impact on the game. Tight, obstacles placed close to each other in range 1.5 to make flying very difficult and predictable in the chosen area. Line, obstacles placed in a horizontal or vertical line to create some patterns that limit the ability to fly. But before we place our first obstacle, we should answer some important questions that will help us choose the right strategy for this part. Do we have more firepower? If so, we should consider reducing the impact of obstacles on the game and think about loose formation. If we don't have, we should different strategy and makes our opponent flying harder. Whether the opponent flies in formation. If our opponent list have some synergies and have to fly in that way, we should try to break it and make maneuvering as hard as possible, maybe by line formation. What is the scenario? Mission objective placement also impact the obstacles. we can make getting mission points harder and demanding more predictable moves. And one important question in the placing obstacles phase. Can I use my opponent's obstacle to my advantage? After each obstacle your opponent has placed on the battlefield, you should consider whether you can use it to your advantage. It can be a part of our tight or line obstacle formation. Let's go and see some examples. First one. As we can see, the Republic player have placed 2 out of 3 of their obstacles in the corners, where they should not have much impact on the game. The last one is close to the objective and in the same half of the battlefield. This clearly shows us that he wants to create as much space as possible for his main strike force on the bottom part of the board. He also wants to make it harder to get close to the mission objective. Scum player focus on clustering the center on the field, which makes earning mission points quite challenging. So, both players agreeing to create wide empty space on the bottom flank. Cluster in the center limit option for Republic ships to re-engage in other ways than K-turns, but leaving more space for Scum ships to choose what they want to do after first engagement. Second example. In this screenshot, there is a small layout error that the list details are on the wrong side of the screen. It could be misleading. Picking on the right track. Here we have all 3 mission objectives quite close to each other, so the Empire player decide to cluster this area and try to punish mission focusing ships. Also, this formation makes harder to maneuvering for bigger ships like Republic arcs. The Republic player obstacle creates 3 lines to fly in the first turns, trying to set up the first engagement. The 2 upper obstacles make it difficult to attack with a narrow flank and force an attack from further down the battlefield. The last one divides the rest into 2 paths, splitting the enemy forces a bit. Third one. Here we have similar placement on both sides, but with less real impact on the game. Cluster ones only cover distance between 2 of the satellite, and the line formation forcing only a little bit wider formation for German player. So both players count more on the other factor than obstacles placement. The last example. In this case, we have more mission focused obstacles placement. By the way, the mission is scramble. Both players try to make it harder to the opponent to mark the bottom objective. Republic player with satellites and obstacle placement try to make taking the upper satellite cost a lot of time for a ship and be unconvincing to get some backup for it. This allows Rick Ollie in the Naboo Starfighter to fly fast if he wants to catch a ship that will be marking a target. The other 2 satellites are quite clustered by asteroids, so the main battle should take place on the flank with objective closer in the middle. Concluding this topic, placing obstacles requires some tactical thinking and experience. If we practice and analyze our decision, all we need is time to get better. The next thing to do before the game is to decide which enemy ships will be our main targets. This depends on the details of list in each game. The choice is determined by our overall firepower. If we don't shine in this aspect, it makes it really dangerous to focus on one big ship like the Decimator, because then we have to invest a lot of effort to destroy that ship. We have to don't bite off more than we can chew. Next important thing, closely related to firepower, is the number of heavy hitters. A lack of them means that focused fire is more crucial than selected targets, as supporting fire is less consistent. Our plan also determines which ship we should target. When flying in formation or have 1 or 2 big guns, the ability to focus fire is more important than the other factors. We choose a target from our opponent list. To do this correctly, we need information about combat potential of each ship, synergy between them, their health and point cost. Of course, our pre-battle plan will be interrupted in the game, so we should adapt it to the situation and not stick strictly to the plan. Let's see some examples. First, in this list, on the Empire side, the biggest threat is Colonel Gendon, so focusing on him will get us the most. Without him, it would be very difficult to destroy the arcs. We must not forget that it is not the only one on the field, and overcommitted to him because it could be punished. The Decimator is the kind of the ship that should be a top priority or irrelevant. Destroying it requires a lot of resources, and we have to decide if we want to commit to this task. On the Republic side, it should probably be oddball in arc because of this ship combat potential and support skills. The Empire side lacks support fire in this matchup, so destroying arc could be challenge, but it is necessary to win. Next example. So we have two Empire lists here. On the left, squad built around Captain Janus and his ability. He should be the main target, as without him this list loses a lot of firepower. He will be protected and probably not easy to focus, so our second priority should be TIE fighters with the remaining proton missiles. In this particular example, I would say the left player should just focusing fire and go for the kills. If I have to choose that, with that much firepower, the best target would be Decimator. Third and last example, on the Scum side, Fenrau seems to be the best target because of initiative kill, high combat potential and lowest hull in the lists. The Scum list has enough firepower to try focus Decimator, so it is an option. If the decision is going to be different, we have to go for Tomax and Vizier. They have weak defensive roles, so they also good targets. So our list describes what is possible and what is risky to focus our firepower on. With this knowledge, we can selecting initial targets from our opponent lists. The last topic I will cover in this video is deployment. This depends on our list, how much firepower we have, how many ships we have, what initiative they have, and so on. Special ability of our ships, if they have synergy and have to fly close to each other. Two things which we talked earlier, objective and obstacles placement, our plan for early game, how we want to do first engagement, and opponent list, what is our target, what should be available in first round to do. Let's look at some examples. First, we discussed about this match, now we can focus on deployment. What we have there? Mission objective, they are close to the left side, forcing the Republic to go slow and the Empire to go fast to be ready for the first attack in turn 2. Obstacles, if Republic wants to contest every objective, they have to fly near obstacles, which can cause some problems. Empire have 3 possible paths to take in the early rounds. Initiative, there is an advantage for the Empire. Only Deathfire will be deployed before all Republic ships. Now we know the context, we can analyze. First on the field was Deathfire. Here we have a simple plan to have the whole center of the battlefield open for trying to launch a bomb in turn 2 using the pilot's ability. Then we go with all Republic ships. First, Boost. He is in front of obstacles, so in turn 2 have to choose side. He have to go up because need to leave space for arcs, so he will be a narrow flanker. This position gives him opportunity to react on the 2 out of 3 lanes Empire have to go. Slider is also narrow flanker, so he probably will team up with Boost. Next is Broadside. Is placed to contest the objective, but in line with Asteroid, so it can be problematic in turn 3 for him. Wolf is in the sideways position, which gives him the chance to go really slow. He will be going between obstacles, so our narrow flankers should not go there and give him space. Mace is classically far to the flank. And last, Oddball is positioning to be able to attack on the side objective and still being able to shoot in the center. Concluding Republic game plan. It should be possible to contest or mark all 3 satellites early in the game. The flank is secured by 3 ships, and the other half of the squad is more concentrated in the middle of the field. Next, Empire player responded with the following settings. Tomax is team up with Deathfire and bring some backup from him when he will try to launch a bomb. Rak is on the side closer to the target. It gives him a clear and wide path to fly and be in the center of the action to use his crew. Jendon plan is pretty simple, flanking and use his brutal firepower. Concluding Empire plan. It is pretty straightforward. The main unknown for the opponent is how aggressive Jendon will be. This is how first engagement looks in turn 2. Proton bomb hits Wolf and Slider. Jendon had a bad time because of some bad defensive rolls and focus fire from 4 ships. He went down to 1 hull, so the plan to get him worked perfectly. They also marked 2 out of 3 satellites. Empire has only managed to take half of the Wolf hull. That was a great start for Marco and Republic player. Going forward, next example. What we have here? Mission objective almost evenly distributed. Obstacles. We have a line formation on the right with a plan to spread the enemy forces. On the left, obstacles are placed more to interrupt being in the satellite area. Left player decide to fly in formation with Aiden and Jonas on the center to get their bonuses more easily to get for other ships. Right side with Eureka and Reimer had to go a little bit wider because of the gas cloud placement. I guess the plan was to do a big first punch with protons and barrage missiles with Jonas' ability, then split and focus more on mission points. Right player had more individual plan for his ships. Deathfire placed on the side position gives him the opportunity to delay engage and stay in safe distance from enemy ships. Lorir also is placed on the board edge but in front position. This gives him chance to go fast and make some less predictable moves. Ferov on the flank with 45-degree position as a ship with low agility want to stay on the side and don't be enemy main target. Rak mirror the Ferov position on the other side, so 2 flankers was set up and forced opponent's ship to focus on one of them. Tomax is in the line with the gas cloud, so some barrel roll will be needed, which is desired in the first engagement for him. Plan for this player was don't go for simple blow exchange and be more tricky and let whole center empty and try to attack on the side to create some chaos in opponent formation. This is how looks engagement in turn 2. Right player Alex gets what he wants. Formation cannot consecrate fire and has been attacked from both sides. That would be all. Thank you for watching.